Krishna, Midangaya Namo Namaha, Jagranga, Janashangadev. So we're going to carry on today with the 32 Matra Tehais here in Das Behera Tal. The last one we looked at was the Jha-nakdhin dreghedhini. And there's two more versions of that we're going to look at. So the next version here is a little bit of a different. We start with Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, but instead of dhini we go in tete. So it goes Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhadhin, nidhadrege, ta-nakthin, trekhethete, trekhetaksi, nitatrekhe, dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhe, dreghedhadhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet, dreghedhadhin, dhadreghe. So we'll go over that once more. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhadini, dhadreghe, ta-nakthin, trekhethete, trekhetathini, nitatrekhe, dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhe, dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhe, dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe. So we'll go over what each one of these are. So we've already learned the Jha-nakdhin. Jha-nakdhin, with the space there. Jha-nakdhin. Jha-nakdhin. Then we have dreghe, dreghe, tete. Now Bablu teaches us dhini, but coming from one finger to three fingers and then trying to come into the dreghe doesn't really work in my opinion, and it never did when he was teaching it to me. So going dreghedhete, when you're having that index finger, it's very easy. See? Rather than when your momentum's coming up like this, it's very hard to come into the drege, I find. Your hand kind of gets stuck, and everything about Mridanga is about patterns, flow patterns, and workability, and the easiness and the fluidity of the movement should always be addressed and looked at and scrutinized. And in my personal opinion, using the dhini there is inefficient, and the tete is much better and sounds a lot nicer as well. So we have Jha-nakdhin dreghe, dreghedhete, tete. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete. Second part, dreghe. So Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi. Change that to a duck. Dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. So it's pretty complicated. You're kind of blending and spinning this mantra in a bunch of different directions, and kind of confusing your hands. But it's a very beautiful mantra as well, but just a little bit complicated, especially having those dreghs all kind of added in there. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidha, 4 fingers, drege, 4 fingers before the drege. So that's the first part. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidha. See how that kind of flows? Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. A lot of dreghs, so we have 1, 2, 3 dreghs there. And we'll practice that a little bit quicker. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, so it flows very nicely. If you try to play it dhini, your hand is not going to flow like that, and it's going to be a real pain in the ass kind of trying to play that particular mantra. So you really want to focus on, if you're learning from someone, do the mantras make sense? Does the wording make sense? Do the bowls make sense? And is it difficult to play in a way that you think it shouldn't? Because if there's something that feels incorrect, then it is, because bhakti always is coming from a place of purity, and it should always feel right when you're doing it. You know, the proof is in the tasting, and if you're playing something and it doesn't feel like it's really coming from a pure source, then it probably isn't, you know? So never be afraid to scrutinize and ask questions to someone who's teaching. So that's the guru, lagu. Jha-nakdhin dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhin, nidhadrege. Now, lagu, closed. Ta-nakthin, ta-nakthin, nakthin, trekhethete, tete, trekhetathi, nidhadrege. Ta-nakthin, trekhethete, trekhetathi, ta, only the ta there, trekhe. This one's a little hard because you have to balance which parts of the bottom end K that you're hitting here. Ta-nakthin, trekhethete, ta-nakthin, trekhethete, ta-nakthin, trekhethete, ta-nakthin, trekhethete. Trekhetathi, nitatrekhe, trekhetathi, nitatrekhe. Trekhetake, and this is a nuk here, sorry. Trekhetathi, nitatrekhe, nakthin, trekhethete, trekhetathi, nitatrekhe. Okay? Ta-nakthin, trekhethete, trekhetathi, nitatrekhe. Little bit of a tongue twister. Tehai part, then. We'll do this once more slowly. Ta-nakthin, trekhethete, trekhethakthi, nitatrekhe. Very complicated. The Tehai. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, and this trekhe here is different. So now we're going trekhe, right? We're normally going trekhe. Now we're just going trekhe. Just the bottom end. And it's on the offbeat too, and it's very interesting. You'll see this very interesting mantra here. So dreghedhakdhin. See the din flows in, and then you have to, on the offbeat. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. See the trekhet's on the offbeat too. Very, very interesting mantra. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Very slow. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, strong. That K is very strong. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, jha-trekhet. So that's the whole mantra. So, jha-nakdhin, dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. Nakdhin, trekhethete, trekhethakthi, nitatrekhe. Dreghedhadhin, dreghedhakdhin, dreghedhadhin, dreghedhadhin, dhadreghe, ta. And then you move into your Daspahara foundational mantra there again. So let's look at this once more. Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhete, dreghedhakdhi, nidhadrege. Ta-nakthin, trekhethete, trekhethakthi, nitatrekhe. Dreghedhakdhin, jha-trekhe, dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, ta. Dreghedhakdhin, dhadreghe, ta. Tereketa. So, chanting Hare Krishna with this then. We'll just do piece by piece. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, that's just the first part that you can practice like that. That's how you chant with it. The Tehai starts in Rama Rama. Rama Rama. So that's how you use it. The best way to learn that is to just practice as much as you can. Try to practice each piece, understand how the tal is working, understand where each particular mantra sits in the Tehai, find the balance, find the rhythm so that you're playing these properly. I see so many people just constantly learning complicated mantras like this, but they have no conception of tal or timing. It's like you're a drummer, you're keeping time. Like, the time doesn't change. It's just boom, boom, boom. And when you're playing and you're completely ruining the structure of a time signature, then it's very displeasing and very disruptive to the kirtan, and to the point where I've seen many kirtans recently in our temple completely stop and just end because the person is playing so out of tal that they've completely ruined the kirtan, and it completely stops. I mean, it's insane. Like, and they don't have enough humility to even take a step back and say, hey, like, maybe there's something wrong with what I'm doing here, you know? So there's lots of issues, with these things, but I'm trying to present these in a way that you can learn them so that you can play them and not disrupt the kirtan, and actually enhance it and play in tal and know what you're doing. Okay, so this is another Jha-nakdhin, another variation, even more complex than the last one. Each one is building. So here we have Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhadhinidhi, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhi, dhakdhinidhi, tete-ta, tete-ta, tete-tete, Kherketha, 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 Kherketha. Now, what's happening here? If you actually look at this, let's see, dreghedhini, dhadreghe, dhadreghe. So we have bowl jatis here of Tisra, actually, of 6 that are spanning across. Dhadreghe, tete-ta. So then you have a tete-ta, which brings it into a Dasbahar bowl, jati of a proper chatur there. So we have dhadregedini, tete-ta, tete-ta, to make up the full 16 or 8 that we need because we're in double speed there. So you've got bowl jatis of Tisra there, and then you also have another bowl jati of Tisra, Trekhekher Kherkhetha, Trekhekher Kherkhetha, again a Tisra jati, Trekhekher Kherkhetha, right? Trekhekher Kherkhetha, Trekhekher Kherkhetha, and the whole thing is spread so the tete-ta, tete-tete, Kherketha, Kherketha, Kherketha is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got 5 there, and then you've got trekhekher Kherkhetha, trekhekher Kherkhetha. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 3 there in double speed, 6 down to 3. So it's the bowl jatis are more complex here because you're not in a standard 4 structure, 2 structure. They're spread across 3s and 5s and 6s, and then you just have the Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, like a standard bowl jati there of chatur. So a little bit complicated. We've also thrown in a kher, which we were going over before, which is the tete-ta. So we've got that special bowl now where you're hitting the mridanga 5 times in one single beat or jati there. So very kind of complex mantra. So let's read this out again. So we've got Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhadhinidhi, dreghedhini, dhakdhidreghe, dhinidhakdhin, dreghedhini, tete-ta, tete-ta, tete-tete, Kherketha Kherketha Kherketha, trekhekher, ketatrekhe, Kherketha. Now again, this Tereketa, read very carefully about where each is situated. We've written it in tall. So the trekhe is taking up 2. So if you broke that up into, say, 4 matras, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 in a measure of time here. So you've got 2 spaces for the trekhe and 2 spaces for the kher, right? So they're not that quick. It's just, but technically it's in double speed, so there's only 2 beats. So it's just trekhe, trekhekher, trekhe, trekhekher, right? So trekhe is taking up 2, kher is taking up 2, or if you want to look at it as just trekhekher, trekhekher, ketatake, right? So each one is taking up 1 in double speed. So you have trekhekher, evenly spaced. Trekhekher, ketatake, Kherketha. Each one is happening on a clap. Trekhekher, Kherketha, trekhekher, Kherketha. Everyone's on a clap. So you want perfectly balanced like that. You want it to be very smooth. Yeah. So let's look at the fingering then. Jha-nakdhin, Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini. We already know this. Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhi. I don't have the K's in there. That's enough. Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhi, dreghedhini. So we already know this from the first. It's the same pattern from the first one we learned, right? Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhi, dreghedhini. Now, this is where it changes. Now this is that bull jati of Tisra. Dhakdhidreghe, dhakdhidreghe, tete-ta. The tete-ta makes up the bull jati there of Chatur. Tete-ta, tete-ta, tete-tete, Kherketha, 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 trekhekher, ketatrekhe, Kherketha. Well, simple. But kher is hard to get. You need to be able to get around to the ta, so it sounds very empty, like for a long time. I couldn't play it and it sounded pretty weird because it's kind of like an empty hit there if you can't get around to the ta. So you need to be able to make that sound nice there. So let's just look at this again. Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhi, dreghedhini, dhakdhidreghe, dreghedhini, tete-ta, tete-ta, tete-tete, Kherketha, 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 Kherketha. Easy. So a little faster. Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhi, dreghedhini, dhakdhidreghe, dhakdhidreghe, tete-ta, tete-tete, Kherketha, 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 Kherketha. A little bit faster. Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhi, dreghedhini, dhakdhidreghe, dhakdhidreghe, I just wanted to see here. Actually wanted to, so this is supposed to be teeny. So this is another example where the tete-tete leaves you in kind of an unusual position to come into the Kherketha. From what I like playing tete-ta, teeny. So the you can play tete-tete if you like, but you're gonna find teeny easier there in the tete-ta, teeny, tete-ta, teeny. So let's look at that, playing that quickly. Jha-nakdhin, dreghedhini, dhakdhinidhadrege, dhakdhidreghe, dhakdhidreghe, tete-ta, teeny, Kherketha, Kherketha, Kherketha. very nice. Trekheketa Kherkhetha Kherkhetha. So how do we chant with this? Hare or Rama, sorry. So this would come in at the 32 Tehai Matra at Hare Rama. Hare Rama. So once more. Hare Rama. So you can use it just as the Tehai there. Tete-ta, tini, Kherketha Kherkhetha Kherkhetha trekhekher, Kherketha, jha. So that's a very cool mantra. So that's done. I'll look at a hand practice here as well. So here we have Tereketa, Tereketa, Kereteti, well, tete, Tereketa, Kereteti, Tereketa, Kereteti, Tereketa, Kereteti. So this is combining a hand practice and a finger practice in one here. Tereketa, Kherkhetha, 3 fingers. Tereketa, kereteti. Tereketa, kereteti. Very cool kind of practice. Feels very nice. Second part. Ketatake, tereketa. We're familiar with this. Tereketa, keretete, ketatake. This just helps to open up your fingers, helps to separate, learn how to use 3-in-1s and your hand all at the same time in a nice little compact hand practice. Then we're going to move into a fingering practice as the second part. Tereketa, keretete, ketatake, tereketa. Second part. Tete-ta, so triplets here of Tisra. Tete-ta, tete-tini, right? Tete-ta, tete-tini, right? 1, 2, 3, tete-ta, 3, tete-ta, 3, and then a tini to make your 8 again for Daspahara. Tete-ta, tete-tini is used a lot in Kirtan. Tete, space, ta, 4 fingers, tiniketa. So this is starting to really open up your fingers here. Tete-ta, tete-tini, tete-ta, tiniketa, tete-ta, tete-tini, tete. Tete-ta, tete-tini, tete. See that? Tete-ta, tiniketa. Tete-ta, tiniketa, tete-ta, tiniketa, tete-ta, tiniketa, tete-ta, tiniketa, tete-ta, tiniketa. Tete-ta, tete-tini, tini, right? Tete-ta, tete-tini, tete, ta-tiniketa, tete-ta, tete-tini, tete. Tereketa, keretete, ketatake, tereketa, tete, tete, tini, tete. Hare Krishna, Rama, can like combine it. It's a nice little ending for your second part of your Prabhupada beat there. You can switch it up. Jha-ta, tete-ta, tereketa tete-ta tereketa jha-ta, tete-ta, tete-ta tiniketa. So we'll learn all this stuff later when we do foundational kirtan stuff. We'll just go over that once again slowly to make sure that you guys have it. Tereketa Kherkhetha Tereketa tetetete tiniketa. So that's the mantra there. So we'll look at a Dagurugur as well here. This is a 64 Matra Tehai that you can use. Also a nice hand practice. Daguru daguru dagur daguru daguru dagur. Daguru daguru dagur dreghedhakdhi guru. So now we're learning how to use Dagurugur and dreghedhete. Dreghedhete fits really beautiful when you're using Dagurugur. Really kind of adds in a special flair in the middle there. So daguru daguru dagur dreghedhete guru dagur daguru daguru dagur dreghedete guru dagur daguru daguru dagur dreghedete dreghedete guru dagur 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 dreghedete dreghedete Gera Guru Dagur Gergeda 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 Guru Dagur. There's a million ways that we can write this. We'll write a bunch later. We'll put some Tehais in and stuff like that. This is just to kind of get the hands flowing. So Dagur 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 Gergeda Guru Dagur 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 Gergeda Guru Dagur 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 Gergeda So you want this you want to really lean into that ger, and then the da is leaned into as well. And remember the ge is soft on the da. So the ger is strong, the da is strong, but the ja with the da is soft. Now I'm just realizing here as well that the da, I always do that because that's how I was taught. So these are actually all dreghedhakdhis because obviously it's not a da because we're not open here, so this is closed. So it's daguru daguru dagur dreghedhate guru dagur. So dreghedhate, all these are days, and I'll change those and put it in the description there. So it sounds like this. Hare Krishna. So we'll look at that once more. Hare Krishna, So that's how you use that one. We've already learned all this stuff, so I'm not going to go over everything in detail. You can go back to the other videos and learn. But yeah, so that one's really nice as well. And we'll do one more just for fun here. Then we can move into finger practicing next week. So this is another version of Dagurugur. So we've got dagur dagur, dagur dagur, dagur dagur. Daguru, 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 dagur. So different, more complicated way of using it here instead of just going daguru. Now we're going daguru, 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 da daguru, 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 da daguru. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare So that's enough for today. You can see how all these play beautifully into writing. A lot of beautiful Prabhupada beats, different Das Behara, tals, and stuff like that. So keep practicing, and I'll keep making videos. And Hare Krishna.